Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on this follow-up webinar after we have spoken to a couple of our clients on the previous webinar and seen what they are doing in their HR environment and how they are managing their documents. Today, we're going to chat about how to transform your HR processes for total compliance. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper and we're going to take a look at what the potential solution looks like and what options we have available specifically in the HR space and managing my records in a more compliant way. We'll touch on some of those topics in the agenda in a moment. My name is David Malone. I am responsible for sales in the UK and Ireland. I am joined also by Jamie Priest, who is our regional sales director, looking after some of our partners in the UK. I will be running through a very short PowerPoint presentation for you, after which Jamie will take over and do a demonstration. Nick is also there in the background, and he'll be monitoring any questions that you guys ask today. So please feel free to fire the questions at us. Normally we have time to answer most of the questions on the call, but of course, if there's some specific things that we think is better we pick up afterwards, we will reach out to you. So without delaying further, let's jump straight into our presentation. So in the agenda today, we'll have an overview of some of the challenges that we have seen that our customers face within the HR space. We're obviously not going to talk about all of them, but we are going to take a look at a couple of them that we feel is very important. We are obviously going to introduce DocuWare as a solution for HR. This is not to replace your current HR management system. It's not there to replace your payroll system. It's simply a tool to bring everything together and give you a better place to manage documents. As mentioned before, Jamie is going to do a demo after that. We're going to discuss some success stories we have with some of our customers. And then, as mentioned before, we will go into a Q&A session. So please, once again, let the questions flow in the question box on the platform itself. Right, so some of the challenges that we decided to cover today, we've had calls with approximately 6 or 7 of our customers that is already using DocuWare in the environment, and we try to find out what is the main problems that DocuWare has alleviated for them. This was quite a surprise for us, right? Because when we take a look at the technology and we take a look at forms and we take a look at workflow and what incredible things we do and how much time we can save in these things, we are not in HR. So we had to speak to those HR customers to really understand what is it that really, what really happened for you, right? And the 3 main problems that they have identified is firstly, physical records management and paper-based processes, right? The incredible support that DocuWare has offered in managing those documents electronically was without a doubt number 1. How easy it is to index documents, how easy it is to store, as Jamie will show you a little bit later. So that gives you like a digitized, streamlined, and automated information at the point of capture so that you can easily find the content going forward. The second point was file completeness, compliance, and policy acceptance. Now, these are all different type of documents that our customers keep within the HR space. So if you're an ISO organization and you manage policy documents internally, have the employee accepted all of these policy documents, and is it in his HR file? Do we have his resume on record? Is the contract up to date? Has the contract not expired? Is there any certifications that is relevant to this employee? And even maybe potentially giving them access to their pay slips and things like that online. So all automated, all automatically captured in a simple way and easily accessible. Of course, compliance on that is very, very important. Am I compliant to the regulatory authorities? But even as important, am I 100% sure that people internally can only access information that is relevant to themselves? So that gives me a centralized, organized, safe environment where I can be 100% certain that the content is correct and the system notifying me if anything is missing. Saving time on employee self-service was also a very big one. And 100% clear on the fact that not all of our customers have used this, but the ones that have used it says, I don't have to respond to all requests now. I can maybe run a workflow to approve if somebody is looking for a specific document, but some documents I can immediately make available to them. without having to go search for it and distribute it in a manual way. Give my employee access to the content that they request on a regular basis, like, for example, the payslips or reviewing their policy documents and so forth. So that gives us ready-to-use workflows for productive self-service in the HR environment. So with DocuWare, there's obviously a lot of things that we can do. Some of our customers are also on the call, and you know this already because you'll be using DocuWare for more than the problems that I have just discussed. But what is incredibly important is that we understand that electronic documents or paper-based documents generate processes. I have to process these documents. I have to get people to approve them. I've got to store them. I've got to act retention policies on them. And today we're going to take a look at just that framework of where I should start and what should be in place for me to be able to automate my processes more in the future. It's at this point now that I'm going to hand over to Jamie to do a demonstration. Once again, want to remind you, don't hesitate, let the questions flow. Thank you very much once again for joining. Jamie,
thanks very much, David. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. You should now be able to see my screen. Great to have you all on the webinar with us today. So as David mentioned, we're just going to touch on a few things within DocuWare that we could potentially leverage to streamline our processes and become more compliant. The access into DocuWare is of course very flexible. So one thing that I've done here is I've almost replicated some form of intranet that I might have within my organization. This could be my company website, my intranet, a shared page across the organization, just a way for me to have a front-end access into certain different elements across my HR environment. And this could be DocuWare, this could be my HR management system and payroll system, but essentially most of what I'm going to show you here is into the DocuWare system. So from this intranet, I can have links into different things. I can go and search for my documents, which will redirect me into DocuWare's search dialog. I can access tasks if I've got any approvals, create support requests, have links to other areas in my business, and so on. For example, if I were to just click on my documents, this immediately opens up a search dialog for me to execute. And there, as my user login is Fred Winner at the moment, I can see all of Fred's documents and all of Brian's documents who works underneath Fred. So immediately that has only shown me relevant information to what I'm able to see within my organization. And if you start using the filters, you'll only be limited to what you have access to. Just to give you a bit more idea of the search functionality, as I add different metadata to those search fields, it filters out what I need to see. It's a really quick and easy way to get into the search function within DocuWare. Now, if I access the front end of the solution, you'll see a very similar search dialog. I've got other ways to process and store data. So in front of you, you have a document tray. This is essentially where I'd bring in any type of data that requires indexing, any types of documents. As you can see, there's a couple different examples there. I'd have search functionality like I've just shown you. There is a list functionality, very briefly, can give you a quick overview of where a document is within its particular process. I can, for example, see different applications on the recruitment side, but also vacation requests, anniversaries, birthdays, absences. So just enhancing what data you might already have available in an HR management system. Then, of course, I've got tasks. So I've got different tasks that might be processed when I store data into my organization. This is just a decision to approve a candidate's application on the recruitment side, but this could really be anything task related in my business. As far as web forms goes, again, a really, really useful way to submit data or capture data within my organization that could then potentially flow on and create some kind of workflow. So for example, if I scroll across here, I've got an equipment request list. So if I've got somebody that's starting and I want to request certain equipment and certain access, this is just simply a web form that I could submit into a workflow so that the person with the role of equipment manager or IT could receive this and start preparing everything for the arrival of the new candidate. So simple things like that that can be streamlined and automated using this solution. When it comes to capturing data, as an example here, I've got my DocuWare connected to Outlook. From here, I can really store anything. I can import a driver's license, for example, that was received on email. This would then end up in my document tray. And from my document tray, I would be able to store and index this very easily, I might add. So I can select store. I can then go ahead and store this document. I can define this as a driver's license, first of all, in terms of classification. And then to bring in metadata off of the document or the image in my DocuWare viewer, I would click on the field, highlight on the document, and it would automatically start pulling in the data for me. So no more typing, no more risk of errors. These things can be streamlined. And of course, it's just a really, really easy way to store data. And away it goes, that driver's license. Now, most of what you've seen here is also available on the DocuWare mobile app. For the sake of me not switching between screens, I've just taken a screenshot of what this could potentially look like on a mobile app. As you can see with Fred, when his login to his mobile app, he's still able to see all of those lists. He's able to action his tasks. He's able to search for his documentation. So this really makes it easy for you to access that information from anywhere. You don't necessarily have to be in front of your workstation. And I think that is just a very good overview of the different areas within DocuWare and what the functionality offers and what the tool can offer in terms of supporting your HR processes and your HR environment. I'm going to stop there and see if we've got any questions. If we need to go back.
Yeah, hi Jamie. We do have a couple of questions coming through. First one is, what is the typical implementation timeline for transitioning from physical records to a digital HR system?
Yeah, the answer is not straightforward, but there are a couple things that we can use to kind of identify a timeline. Firstly, of course, is the volume of records that need to be translated from physical to digital. You can see that on the solution on the screen, a lot of what we have, there's a baseline configuration for this kind of thing. Not many HR environments differ in terms of what metadata and what documents need to be captured. So the implementation of the system to hold those documents is very, very short. So depending on the volume of documents, you know, we have a system up and running within a week or two.
Yeah, and if I can add a little bit to that, we do have some pre-packaged HR solutions for rapid deployment, especially when our customers want to stick with those 3 problem areas and potentially add some onboarding workflows, which can be easily configured for other organizations or for your organization to specify those fields that you need to search for documents and how to store the documents. But DocuWare is a system that can be implemented in as little as 3 days, and only when we have very advanced integration requirements with backend systems that we've never done before, which is quite rare, could implementation for HR environments take as long as 10 to 20 days, but generally very, very quick.
Thank you both. Another question coming through, which is, can employees submit forms or requests directly through the system, and how are those routed for approvals?
Yeah, I'll grab this one. Yes, so Jamie showed you a couple of forms within the demo, and I'm guessing that's where the question comes from, where he showed you an onboarding form. But forms are always something that we need and that we want. Some environments we have physical forms that we're filling in, and we sometimes have all of these different solutions that process forms for us as well. Some of the HR solutions that our customers use internally also have some form capability. What's powerful about the DocuWare forms, you can have unlimited ones, right? And it could be for any use case. Our customers very often use it in other environments for application forms and so forth. So it could literally be anything. It could be a simple HR request. I am requesting my employee contract. I am requesting a salary increase. At DocuWare, we use it for exception management as well as leave applications. Of course, we are DocuWare, so we use it for leave applications, but very often it's handled in the HR management system. So any form that you can think of can even be filled in by external people who kick off workflows, but most importantly, store all of that content so it's linked to the original HR file.
Great, thanks, David. Another question from Laura. Can this solution be implemented in other countries other than the UK and Ireland?
Yeah, absolutely. I think DocuWare as an organization is global, so we have presence in most countries around the world, mostly through our extensive partner network, but the implementation comes down to the requirements, and specific legalities within certain countries can definitely be taken into consideration when configuring or deploying the system.
Yeah, Laura, we have HR implementations in more than 100 countries worldwide, so we've implemented in most countries. Our DocuWare Cloud data center is covering 4 regions in the world. We have one for Asia Pacific, then we've got one for Australia, New Zealand. We've got 2 data centers in Europe, and then we've got the data center in the US, of course, as well. And we also have physical document representation of all those regions, and as Jamie mentioned, partners in all those regions to be able to cover implementation as well as support in basically any country. I think we officially say 120 plus countries, but I think we've got customers in most countries.
Great, thank you both. 2 more questions I can see. The first one is, how does DocuWare help ensure that all HR records are compliant with data protection regulations like GDPR?
I'll steal this one as well, Jamie. It's the most important part, right? So DocuWare is hosted in Microsoft Azure. We do offer on-premise as well as cloud-based solutions. So if there's specific countries where we have specific legislation of documents to be stored within the borders of the country, we can handle that. Of course, we are fully compliant within the UK and Ireland, but as I said, we have cloud customers as well as on-premise customers all over the world. Each country has its own specific requirements. In Europe, it's fairly straightforward. We have to adhere to GDPR. DocuWare is also SOC 2 Type 2 certified, which means that they do penetration tests on our system to make sure that it is secure, and we only get the compliance, of course, if we manage the environment in such a way. The workflows within the system still needs to be configured in a compliant way, and of course, DocuWare can support in that process. But from a system perspective, we can confirm through our certifications that the system is completely compliant.
And I think just to add to that a little bit as well, perhaps I didn't touch on it in too much detail, but if you look at the configuration within the environment and what you're able to do with specific roles, I think David did mention it in the beginning, you can secure data specifically by person, by a role, by a function profile within the solution. You can limit their ability to share information out of the system, download it, email it, that sort of thing, delete it. So the view-only access to their own data does contribute to making it a compliant type of solution and align with the regulations, I suppose.
Great, thank you guys. One last question here. Can you share a case study or example of how a similar sized organization benefited from using DocuWare?
David, do you want to take this one?
My internet connection broke up at the time that you asked that, so I didn't hear.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we can certainly share case studies. We have loads on our website already if you want to go there and have a look at what's available. But if you're looking for a specific type of organization or organization size or organization within a specific industry, just drop us a mail at the end of the webinar, and we'll send through some references and some case studies.
Some of our larger customers, of course, sometimes don't want to publish case studies on our website, but they are very, very comfortable in talking to our customers. So if there's specific industries that you want to focus on, just reach out. In the UK and Ireland specifically, we've been incredibly successful with government as well as larger organizations with HR solutions. The healthcare space we've been very successful in. You can imagine that DocuWare can automate any document-driven process. So when we speak to a distribution company, they generally want to sort out their financial processes before they sort out the HR processes. But when we speak to larger organizations, especially in healthcare, where HR is so relevant, that is generally the starting point of our customers. So case studies literally across the board of any type of organization using DocuWare for HR automation. I see there's a couple more questions that popped up in the chat there, Nick, so I can just handle it. And Christopher, thank you for the question, because obviously you know DocuWare quite well. So Christopher's question is, how does he see the DocuWare IDP, Intelligent Document Processing, which is a fairly new addition to the DocuWare family of products, benefit within HR? And that's a great question, because DocuWare IDP is a fully automated AI-based indexing. And we see that especially beneficial in backscanning projects, where we have customers that's either got electronic documents within a different file share that they need to manage better within DocuWare. So they want to capture all of this, either scan or just capture the electronic documents. And IDP or native.ai, as some people know it, will automatically index those documents for us, saving a huge amount of time in indexing, right? It's a massive benefit. But also going forward, the more automation that I add to capture means that I'm saving more time, I'm significantly more efficient, and I make much less errors in indexing. And still the system will notify me if the AI engine struggled with certain fields. But as we know with AI, it learns and then it applies. It's also very important that our customers don't have to use the AI component. So especially within HR environments, we still only about 10% of the time our customers are still a little bit concerned, although we do have all the certifications and processes in place to make sure that your data is secure, that they don't want to use AI yet. And that's 100% fine, because our machine learning tools, as well as our, I say, manual way of indexing, although with DocuWare it's simply clicking on a field, is still available within HR. So depending on how automated you want the environment, those options are available. Laura, you asked another question around, can DocuWare support integration with other systems, for example, SuccessFactors specifically? Yes, we do have implementations with SuccessFactors already, but DocuWare's got a completely open API, and we can integrate with any other API of any other application directly from our workflow. We also have standard integration tools with databases. We can automatically integrate with any Windows-based system through our screen scraping technology. And within HR environments, that is critical, right? Especially if you're going to run forms to automate certain processes like leave applications or pay increases or employee loans or whatever the case may be. Then I want to integrate this data that I've processed to other systems. But most importantly, I also want to be able to open up the documentation that I've stored directly from those systems so that I don't use both systems. And DocuWare is fully integratable in all those examples. I'm reading one question here and I'm a slow reader, sorry. The question was, since we have pre-configured solutions for HR or pre-bundled solutions for HR, can we add on IDP to that? If I understood the question correctly, if I didn't, just you can expand on that, Edward. Yes, of course, if we've got pre-configured solutions, we can even customize the pre-configured solution. Very often our customers say, look, I don't need that, I need something else. We just configure it from the beginning. It doesn't mean the implementation takes long, it might take a day or two longer. But of course, we can add IDP. We can add IDP to that pre-configured solution. We can add IDP to our current customers that we have, intelligent document processing, again for IDP. So we can add that type of integration. That's all the questions I can see. There's not more that came through.
I think there is just one more, David. Are there available samples we can use, such as HR appraisals, etc.? I know we can do these ourselves, but using DocuWare forms. But where possible, we want to avoid reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, I think you saw that in Jamie's demo as well. But please reach out afterwards if you want to see some of those examples. We've got loads of them. We've had so many of these pre-configured solutions that we continue to optimize, and we've created a couple of examples, right? But generally, our customers like their own templates. They'd like to implement a form that looks like theirs, feels like theirs, are theirs, and we can obviously create those forms on the fly because it's a simple drag and drop designer. But yeah, we've got some templates available to save time, especially for demo purpose, to show customers what the solution looks like.
And Priscilla, to answer your question, are we able to upload policies and other documents for staff to read and accept and then you can see when they've read and accepted those documents? This is a very, very typical example of what we have implemented internally here at DocuWare. When new policies get distributed or updated policies get distributed, that then will, based on rules and logic that you define, will go into a workflow, and a user will typically have a task assigned to them to accept and read that document. That then stamps and verifies the information that they have read and accepted it, and feeds that back to the submitter.
Yeah, Priscilla, I think it's the biggest request that we get at the moment. So we've also created a pre-configured solution for this, but of course, fully able to customize it. But I think this request is hitting our mailbox 2-3 times a day at the moment from current customers as well as potential customers, because they want to manage that entire life cycle of the policy document. But it depends on what you want to do. If you already have the policies and you just want to confirm that people has read it and you want to have a report on that, that is possible. But if you need support on managing those policy documents, even managing the version control and the process of those policy documents, that's also possible. Please feel free to do that.
The follow-up question is there a way of seeing when a document was downloaded and who downloaded it? Everything within DocuWare, every click, every navigation is auditable and downloadable to see in a report type of format, that data. So yes, you can see who downloaded it and when they downloaded it.
Okay, guys, we will stay on for another couple of minutes for in case there's more questions, and we'll stay on for like a minute to see if there's more. But for those of you that's seen enough, thank you very much for joining today. Once again, please feel free to reach out to us after the call. I'm going to put Jamie's email address on the screen so that people can reach out to him directly. I think you need to make me the presenter again, though. I think I can do it myself. Can I?
You can.
Okay.
While you do that, I will answer another question from Laura. Does DocuWare have any capabilities for document creation? David, do you want to take this one? I think it follows up from your previous.
Yes, so with DocuWare, we've got 2 different ways to manage document creation. We can do simple forms-based document creation in PDF format, or we can do a mail merge type integration that would fill in text into a policy document, for example, or a contract. So that is completely possible. For advanced document creation functionality like variable data document creation, we do have partners that we partner with to do this. We do it very, very often with our customers. So our partners do have access to solutions that is fully integratable into DocuWare for advanced document composition requirements. But if it is medium, simple to medium use case requirements, DocuWare handles that, although it's not a main focus. But we do use document composition and HR for contract creation. Employment contract creation, for example, and we also use it in policy documents to like fill in cover pages with policy information and things like that. So yes, it is possible. So on the screen, just once again, Jamie's email address if somebody wants to reach out directly. Of course, after the webinar, we will reach out with a recording. And if there is anybody that requires any additional information, please do not hesitate to reach out. And thank you once again for joining.
Thank you, everyone.